What's up, everybody? Aaron here with the Nerd Herders with a response to Travis's previous video. Travis, hello, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for your last video. You had asked what were maybe some projects that I had started and then kind of abandoned and never got back to that maybe I either regret not finishing or would like the opportunity to go back and finish. As you had said, you had quite a few examples of projects. Between the two of us, you definitely kind of undertake more big kind of artsy projects. That's definitely always been something that you've always had a project of some kind going on, and I usually either just watch or assist you with your projects. I don't always have my own big projects going on, though there are definitely a few. I wrote down a little list. I know you had said maybe you wouldn't count the many Nerd Herders videos that we started and never finished. Yeah, you're right. There definitely are a lot of videos that we either planned or filmed that just never got finished for one reason or another, never actually made it up on YouTube. I do want to mention a couple just because there were a lot of fairly big projects that I had either started in, video projects that I had started that never got finished. You were right on the nose to mention Michael Parker. I had written, I think, 2 or 3 sequel Michael Parker videos beyond the 2 that we did. One of them, of course, Travis, is the one that you and I started filming the intro to. There was that video, and then there was 1 or 2 more Michael Parkers that I had written scripts for. So, it would have been fun, definitely, to have made a whole series of those. Maybe one day we'll go back and do some of those. There's also, I'm sure you remember this, but haven't thought about this in a while. We had wanted to do a video, gosh, I don't know, was this back in, I don't even know what year. This could have been 2012. Yeah, maybe right when we were starting Nerd Herders. We had wanted to do a Doctor Who Star Trek crossover video, and you and I started building a TARDIS out of plywood and 2x4s and things. I wouldn't say that, we did kind of, I guess, finish the TARDIS. We never even remotely started filming anything. We just kind of abandoned that project and lit the TARDIS on fire one day. So I think that's definitely a pretty big undertaking that you and I did, and then just kind of abandoned because it was just too much work or whatever the reason was. I don't even remember. It was so long ago. Literally that plan went up in smoke. And then Sam and I had actually planned out a horror video that we had wanted to do called The Woods, and that was a project that it's been a few years since we've even touched the idea. We had written stuff out. We had kind of blocked some things out and had settings in mind and people in mind, and we just didn't move forward with it for one reason or another. That's definitely one, probably of all the videos that have never been made, that is one that I 100% want to go back and do, or at least adapt into being a future project. Moving away from video projects that were abandoned, there was a pretty big D&D project that I had started that never saw fruition. I had started writing a 4th edition campaign set in Neverwinter. It was going to kind of follow the events of the Neverwinter video game that we used to play. And I had written out the setting and, how it would fit in with certain events in the timeline of Neverwinter. And had written out the first few missions and selected the enemies and everything, and we just never played that campaign. We played something else, or I just couldn't get players together. I don't even remember. It's been years. That is definitely a campaign that I would like to revive and maybe adapt for 5th edition. I did find my notes not too long ago, which is why that was kind of on my mind. There are some other smaller projects that I had started and never finished. I have a old record player, one of those like briefcase travel record players that my mom had picked up for like $1 at a yard sale and had given to me, that I wanted to get working and figure out what was broken and what parts I would need and what I would need to do, and then I would have a functional record player. And I had fussed with it for a while, and I was able to identify all the things that were wrong with it, but I've done nothing to actually replace or fix those things to make it working. So that's definitely a project that I would like to finish. That just, I always forget about it, and I never allocate time to do something like that on my days off. So that's something that I would like to finish once I can identify maybe where I would get the parts that I need. I had trouble really thinking of a lot of projects that I had abandoned. Not because I necessarily finish all of my projects, but I don't really start a lot of those type of projects, I guess. I do a lot of my video projects. I like doing hands-on projects whenever I visit my parents. My dad always has some kind of building or construction project going on or whatever that I'm always involved in. But I don't live in a place where I have those types of projects or have the ability to do that sort of hands-on stuff. So I don't really have any of those projects going on. And I'm not super big into costuming the way you are, Travis. So I've never really undertaken a lot of those types of projects. But I do really like traveling, and something that I had wanted to do when I first started college years ago was I wanted to just kind of plan out trips and just have a journal where, regardless of whether I was actually planning on going to a place or not, I would just pick a city or pick a country and write out, places that you would stay and estimated prices, and basically just do my own travel book writing. That way in the future, if I ever had an opportunity, I could just boom, go to that page and have a starting point. And I had kind of started doing that, and then I very quickly stopped because college was extremely time consuming. And I've done that with trips that, we have planned, kind of like what you and I and Sam did when we were planning our Boston trip and stuff. We had our Google Doc and put in all the information and stuff. I love doing stuff like that. And I think it would be really fun to kind of get back into doing that just for fun. And then in the future, if I ever had an opportunity to go somewhere or a friend was going somewhere, I would have a go-to starting point. So that's kind of a side project, with my passion for travel that I had never really fully flushed out, that I think would be really fun too. And now for our next topic. So far in this conversation, we've talked a lot about movies and video games and projects and things that we're looking forward to, but we haven't yet talked about Dungeons and Dragons, which of course is a big part of our lives. We are going to be starting your new campaign later this week, so I've had Dungeons and Dragons on the brain, and I thought that would be perfect for our next topic of conversation. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite race and class combination? Do you kind of have a go-to, or even if you don't have a go-to, what is the favorite one that you've had an opportunity to play? For me, of course, my longest running character is Arvis, the Elf Ranger, but that's not my favorite combination, even though it probably would be my go-to combination in 5th edition. My favorite combination is actually Half-Elf Avenger, which the Avenger class is something from 4th edition that did not really carry over into 5th edition. I really like the Avenger class because it combines kind of that martial power of having a large weapon and hitting things, but then also having a magical side. So, you're hitting things with a physical weapon, but you're also causing magical damage or magical effects, and you have some spells and abilities. So I always thought that was a nice blend of both your martial and your magical classes. And then Half-Elf is really fun because you get part of the elf racial abilities, but you also get a lot of the bonuses that humans get, like bonuses to your HP. And then again, in 4th edition specifically, you are able to pick a power from any other class. So that was really cool because then as a half-elf, you could have magic missile or something really random from a class that was completely different from what you were playing. And I liked being able to kind of use that as a bit of a surprise in different encounters where we're in, where it's yes, I can do this ability, even though you wouldn't think on the surface that this person would be able to have this ability. So go ahead and let me know what your favorite Dungeons and Dragons combination is. I'm really looking forward to starting our new campaign on Thursday. I look forward to your response, Travis, and until next time, everybody, stay nerdy.